Hey everybody, welcome to the Purple People podcast. I'm Kyle West. Adam Carlson, how you doing, Adam?
A little under the weather, so if I'm coughing a bit and sound a bit funny, don't mind it. I'm here for you guys. Whether I'm sick or what, I'm here. Let's talk football.
Yeah, and maybe you're turning into a zombie on the other end of the line. That's the reason why you're under the weather.
I did get bit by a weird guy earlier, so
You know, I
maybe.
I bring that up because we're recording this on Sunday, and I just got done watching The Walking Dead, so zombies are on my mind right now. But that's not what we're here to talk about.
Well, we are kind of here to talk about The Walking Dead because a lot of our linebacker core passed on from last season, so
Some of them, I think some of them will return. Hopefully not as zombies, but hey, before we get to the linebackers, we have our weekly question of the week, Twitter question of the week, and this one comes from Chad Canfield. Hey, Chad, how you doing?
hi, Chad.
He wants to know if we think Patterson will still be available for the Minnesota Vikings. And that would be the wide receiver Cordell Patterson from Tennessee. Adam, you're the resident draft guy around here. What do you think? Will he be available for the Vikings to draft?
I'm going to say there's a 5% chance that Cordell Patterson will be there when the Vikings pick at number 23.
So,
He's just got too good of a skill set. He showed off too well at the combine. He's got too much on game tape. The reports that he's a little not bright, I'll say,
hmm
shouldn't matter because a team with a simple playbook will pick him up and develop him anyway. So I don't think you'll see him falling. I could see him going as high as to the Jets. So I severely doubt he'll be there.
there you have it. That's what Adam's gonna say on Mr. Cordell Patterson. Like I say, you are our resident draft expertise around here. Uh,
I watch a lot of tape.
Yeah, and I really don't get into much to the whole tape thing. I will say really quick that I hope Keenan Allen falls to us. I think he'd be a great receiver, a great fit for the team. But
We'll be doing a lot more draft and free agent talk after we finish our positional stuff.
sure, and linebackers, like you said, is our positional talk for the week. So why don't we kick this off with Chad Greenway? Sound good?
There's no better place to start.
Yeah, he is our resident Pro Bowl linebacker that I am very happy to see on the team. He played at a high level, and I obviously he will. Well, hopefully he will continue to play at a high level and be a good anchor for the Vikings out there on defense.
Now, I can't remember what college he went to. Could you remind me?
Oh, he's an Iowa Hawkeye.
I know you love saying that.
Yes, I do. I love talking about the Hawkeyes on the show.
Now, Chad Greenway is always competing for the top in tackles.
hmm
He's one of the most solid guys that you could ask for in the linebacking crew. He won our Player of the Week several times in the season.
hmm
And honestly, you can't ask much more than him, aside from giving him some nice talent alongside of him here at linebacker.
Yeah, like I said, he's a good vocal. He's stepping up and he's filling in that vocal team leader role that
Definitely.
every team needs. And yeah, we love Chad. We love you, Chad, here at the Purple People podcast.
Oh, yeah. Let's move to the middle and let's talk about a guy who's a free agent this year, and that's Jasper Brinkley.
Okay.
Right now, he is not currently a Viking,
He's one of
but
the players that I think the Vikings are going to look at bringing back for 2013.
I don't know. He really didn't impress me at all. He had a lot of chances to shine, and I didn't see it happen. I wanted to see more out of him to make me feel better about him staying there. I could see him coming back on another 1 year prove it thing,
hmm
with them coming back and drafting a middle linebacker to compete, but I don't see the job being handed to Brinkley,
Oh,
and
no.
I don't see Brinkley coming back with a decent contract. He needs to prove himself. He needs to prove himself to us, the team, everybody.
I think he'll be back. And the reason when I say that is I don't mean that he's going to be back. He's going to be in a starting role. He's one of those guys that I think the team will be interested in bringing back as a
Yes.
player. That's where I think Jasper is probably even best utilized at this point in his career. Is kind of just a good depth player to have on the chart.
Well, he's showed that he can only really be a two down linebacker. His skills and coverage were really not impressive. The same can be said for the guy who was starting at the other side on linebacker, and that's Aaron Henderson.
Aaron Henderson.
He's also currently not a Viking.
Yeah, Aaron. I I kind of flip back and forth on what I think they're gonna do, and I kind of lean towards Aaron maybe being the odd man out right now.
I think he's going to test the market and he's going to get a contract that's a little bigger than what the Vikings are going to look to spend.
Yeah, that is a pretty good assumption of what I think is gonna end up happening.
Yeah, the Vikings will be looking to draft a linebacker to fill a need. Whoever doesn't come back, if it's Brinkley or Henderson, they are going to need some bodies. We're going to be looking at free agency. We're going to be looking at the draft because right now the Vikings just don't have that depth there.
Okay, is it here's a question for you, Adam. Do you think it's pretty much either Aaron Henderson comes back or Jasper Brinkley comes back? Like it's one of the two, but it's definitely not both. Do you think that's pretty safe to say?
I'm going to say the only way that's true is if they get priced out of Aaron Henderson.
Yeah.
I think they're going to try to bring them both back, but in the end, I don't think they'll be able to get Aaron back.
Okay.
But they do have a guy who showed a lot of promise in preseason last year that I know you're excited about.
Oh, Audie Cole. I know after that preseason game, everyone was. We were so psyched about Audie Cole and probably put so much pressure on the poor kid uh, because the chances of him doing what he did in regular season uh, pretty slim. It was pretty awesome what he did last year with those back-to-back pick sixes like that.
Oh, definitely.
uh, but hey, the future is so bright for Audie Cole, and he is just exciting to watch and to see what his future is going to be with the team.
The weird thing about Audie Cole is that he's kind of that guy that you'd usually see in a 3-4 defense at linebacker
Mm-hmm.
that would occasionally blitz. So he's not the best fit for the Vikings scheme,
Mm-hmm.
but we could see him plug in places once in a while, filling in on certain downs. And he's an excellent special teams contributor, so Audie Cole is a good guy in my book.
Yeah, and good talent will find its way on the field regardless of what the scheme is. And Audie Cole is one of those. He's a talented player, and he will find his role on the field. Whatever it may be.
I think so.
Hmm.
How about Larry Dean? What do you know about that guy?
Larry Dean, his name reminds me of sausages, and that is that is my scouting take here on Larry Dean. Is that his name reminds me of sausages?
Well, if you pull up his stat sheet, you see that he had no tackles, no assists, no sacks, essentially nothing.
Yeah.
I think he played special teams. I'm not positive. He never stood out to me enough to say, hey, there he is.
Hey, you don't have a Larry
But
Dean.
with how thin the Vikings' depth is at linebacker, they can't afford to be ditching any, so I don't know.
You'll be one of those guys that'll be brought back as a body during training camp and someone to compete during preseason, and will continue to probably get a shot with the team because, like you said, linebacker is a position where they need bodies out there and they need people to compete. So Larry Dean will get out there and he's going to give it his best and see what, the team will see what they can get out of him.
Well, this will be his, I think, second full. Well, that was his second full year. So he's still a young guy and he's got room to grow and mature. He's gonna be one of those guys fighting for a roster spot, all that. he's a guy to keep your eye on and hope that he turns out to be a stud. But I don't know. We'll see.
It's tough to say on certain guys like Larry Dean. It's tough to say because obviously the team sees him every day in practice, and there's a reason why he's on the squad, and it's a little bit tough sometimes for the fans to completely grasp what the coaching staff sees in him. So I think that's kind of where we're trying to come from with this one, right, Adam?
Practice?
Yeah,
You're talking about practice?
playoffs.
Oh no, that's Allen Iverson.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to throw out playoffs. Anytime the practice, Allen Iverson, always got to think of the Jim Mora playoffs.
And then we're down to our last two linebackers already. Tyrone McKenzie.
What do you know about Tyrone? Anything?
Well, I can tell you this about Tyrone McKenzie. He subbed in at linebacker for Aaron Henderson for I think it was a game or two,
hmm
and he played fairly well. He forced a fumble, had a tackle, nothing too crazy great, but one of those guys that you like having on your team for depth.
Yeah, and I see that he played his football in South Florida. So that means the one thing I can tell you 100% about Tyrone McKenzie is that he absolutely hates the snow in Minnesota.
If you follow a lot of the Vikings on Twitter, you'll love some of the conversations that these guys are having about the snow in Minnesota. It's hilarious.
Yeah, there's the story I don't know if you heard about. I think it was Toby Gerhardt who got his car stuck in a snowbank. No, no, it wasn't even his car.
No, it wasn't his car, it was
Was
Adrian's.
It was a car that he borrowed from Adrian Peterson. He got stuck in a snowbank.
Yeah, that I love that story.
Yeah,
I can't help but laugh when I think about it.
and it's quite funny. Who
But
else do?
that's Tyrone McKenzie for you.
Yeah, yeah, Tyrone McKenzie. That's our story about Toby Gerhardt. I think that
That shows you kind of the whole Tyrone McKenzie thing there.
yeah, I think that brings us to Marvin Mitchell, right?
It sure does.
Yeah, I do remember him. Boy, that's bad when you start saying that. Yeah, I actually remember him. Um, you played some pretty decent special teams for Minnesota this season.
He did, he did.
Yeah, he's a core special teams guy. I think you could label it him.
Definitely.
hmm
Forced a fumble, recovered a fumble last season. Another one of those guys that had a limited role with the team, but seemed to try to make the most of it. He's an older player, going into his eighth season, I believe, and
Five actually. So
huh,
well, in
I
five,
have eight.
you'll be coming into six.
Huh, that's not what I have.
Huh? I'm looking at ESPN stats right now. It says he's got 5 years experience.
But that's a okay.
Alrighty. Well, we.
But Marvin Mitchell is one of those guys that, even though he's getting a little older, you won't see him replaced again because of the depth at left linebacker and for the Vikings. We need to bring bodies in, not shoot bodies out.
hmm And like I said, I remember a handful of times that Marvin Mitchell laid out some pretty big hits on special teams. And it's guys like that who go out there and, like you said, try to make the best of an opportunity on special teams that are the reason why Minnesota had a really good special teams unit. Well, it's because of guys like Marvin Mitchell going out there and giving it their all.
Definitely, definitely.
hmm
So that's all we got for linebackers. Anything else that you want to talk about this week?
I think we can pretty much agree that Minnesota is going to be drafting a linebacker.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, and I don't want to get too far into our draft coverage, but as the resident draft expert, I will ask you just kind of a gist of what round maybe you think that Minnesota would be interesting in getting a linebacker in.
I could see them taking one anywhere from rounds 2 to 5.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds about right.
To me, there's no clear cut linebacker to take with that first pick unless one of the elite uh, 4-3 outside linebackers drops, and I don't see that happening.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I say, I will leave that to you draft guys to figure that part out. Who are we covering for next week's show? Which group of players do we have?
Next week we're gonna have a lot of guys to talk about.
Oh, we got the defensive backs, don't we?
We do. It's the secondary,
Yes.
and this is our last group to talk about, I believe.
That'll be a long show. Maybe we will do some discussing here after we're done recording. Maybe we'll break that up because that is a lot of people to try to cover at once.
No, we can tackle it. I
Uh,
think we can do it.
You think so?
Oh yeah. That way we can get into talking about some of the stuff that these guys are excited to hear about: the draft, the free agency, speculating a little bit about what's going to happen. All of our mouths are watering thinking about this draft coming up. I know mine is
Mm-hmm.
that, and because I'm thirsty. But that's beside the point. We're all excited about it. So let's move this along and let's get this done. We're going to have a special guest on to talk about us with our draft. Andrew O'Donnell will be
Yeah,
here to join us.
I am.
I'm excited about that.
Yeah, me too. I'm excited to have Andrew on the show, and like I say, I'm gonna kind of. I will step back and let you draft guys just go to town and talk about those players. And I know from the people who send us questions over Twitter and respond to us on the Facebook group is right now a lot of people want to know what the Vikings are gonna do um, for the draft. So keep the
Well,
question.
Vikings fans want Cordarrelle Patterson. They want him. But guess what? I'm sorry. Not going to happen.
I think Keenan Allen is who I think the Vikings or who I would like to see them spend their first round draft pick on. Whether or not he'll be there, that's another question. But
Definitely.
yep.
But I'd just like to remind everybody to head on over to our Facebook page. Check us out, facebook.com/Purple People Podcast. That's us.
Mm-hmm.
Kyle's on Twitter at Purple People Pod.
You betcha.
Head on over to YouTube. Check out all our shows. Every single one of them is listed on there.
There's a bunch of 'em.
YouTube.com/Purple People Podcast.
Yeah, there is a bunch of shows out there. You could spend a long time listening to us talk about the Vikings if you so choose.
Exactly. If you love my voice, not when I'm have a cold like this, or if you're into Kyle's voice, you could listen to it and set the mood with your girlfriend or whatever.
I don't think that would work. I don't think if you dimmed the lights and turned on the candles that you should also hit the play button on the Purple People podcast. Or maybe you should if you're really big
I
Viking.
highly recommend it.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can ask Dr. Drew that one
It
sometime.
works for me. On that note, though, I'll take this note to say goodbye and thank everyone for listening and say stay classy, Minnesota.